1. God's message is love in its purest form. When Jesus came to earth, he didn't show up as a king surrounded by wealth or soldiers. He came as a baby, fragile, humble, and human. That alone tells us something powerful. God didn't want to intimidate us. He wanted to reach us. Through Jesus, God made his message clear. Love is not just what he does. Love is who he is. When Jesus healed the sick, forgave sinners, and welcomed the rejected, he wasn't just performing miracles. He was revealing God's heart. Every act of kindness, every word of grace, was a divine reminder that no one is too far gone for God's love. Think about the woman caught in adultery. People were ready to condemn her, but Jesus said, "Let the one without sin cast the first stone." No one could. In that moment, he showed that God's love doesn't destroy, it restores. That's the kind of love we all crave, unconditional, undeserved, unbreakable. And that's exactly what God offers through Jesus. 2. God's message is hope when life feels broken. If we're honest, life can feel like a constant battle. We fight against fear, doubt, and pain. Sometimes we even fight against ourselves. Jesus understood that. He knew what it felt like to be misunderstood, betrayed, and abandoned. He faced suffering, not because he had to, but because he wanted to show us that even in our darkest moments, God is still with us. There's a story in the Gospels where Jesus is asleep in a boat while a storm rages around the disciples. They panic, thinking they're going to die, but Jesus stands up and says, "Peace, be still." Instantly, the storm stops. That story isn't just about wind and waves, it's about life. It's about the storms that crash into our hearts. Jesus reminds us that no matter how fierce the storm, peace is possible when we trust him. God's message through Jesus is this: you're not alone in the storm. I'm right here with you. Even when it feels like he's silent, he's still working. Even when the answers don't come, he's still in control. Hope doesn't mean everything's perfect. Hope means you believe that God can bring light out of your darkest night, and he will. 3. God's message is grace, not perfection. For a long time, people believed that they had to be perfect to please God, to earn his favor through rituals or rules. But Jesus came to rewrite that story. He didn't come for the perfect. He came for the broken. He didn't come to reward the righteous. He came to rescue the lost. When he ate with tax collectors and sinners, people couldn't understand why. But Jesus said, "It's not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick." That's grace, undeserved favor. Grace says, you can stop trying to earn what's already been freely given. We all fall short. We all fail. But Jesus showed that failure is not the end of the story. Peter denied him 3 times. Yet Jesus turned him into one of the greatest messengers of hope the world has ever known. That's grace in action. Grace takes what's broken and makes it beautiful again. God's message through Jesus is that your mistakes do not define you. His mercy does. 4. God's message calls you to purpose. Every one of us is searching for purpose. We want to know why we're here and what our life means. When Jesus called his disciples, he didn't look for the most qualified or the most talented. He chose fishermen, ordinary people, and said, "Follow me." That one invitation changed everything. God's purpose for your life isn't about status or success. It's about impact. It's about bringing light where there's darkness, compassion where there's pain, and love where there's hate. You may feel like your life doesn't matter, like you're too small to make a difference. But remember this: Jesus started with 12 imperfect people, and through them, the entire world was changed. If he could use them, he can use you too. Every smile you share, every person you forgive, every act of kindness, it all matters. That's how God works, through ordinary people doing extraordinary things with extraordinary love. 5. God's message is forgiveness that sets you free. One of the hardest things for many people to believe is that they can truly be forgiven. The guilt, the regret, The pain of the past, it all weighs heavy. But Jesus' message was clear. Forgiveness is not just possible, it's promised. When he hung on the cross, with nails in his hands and a crown of thorns on his head, his words were not of anger, but of mercy. "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." That was God speaking through his Son, declaring forgiveness not just for those at the cross, but for all of us. You don't have to live in shame anymore. You don't have to keep reliving your past. God's forgiveness is total. He doesn't just erase your sins, he gives you a brand new start. When you accept that, you stop running from your past and start walking toward your purpose. 6. God's message is strength and surrender. In a world that celebrates control and self-reliance, Jesus taught the opposite. He said, "Whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for my sake will find it." That's not weakness, that's freedom. When you surrender your worries, your pride, your plans, and trust God's will, you open the door to peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means giving over. Giving your fears, your dreams, and your heart to the one who knows you better than you know yourself. Sometimes God's greatest blessings come disguised as detours. The job that didn't work out, the relationship that ended, the door that closed, all of it might be leading you to something better. Jesus showed us that even the cross, the symbol of death, became the greatest symbol of victory. So when life doesn't go your way, don't give up. Surrender. Trust that God is still writing your story, and it's not over yet. 7. God's message is light in the darkness. Jesus said, "I am the light of the world." But then he turned to his followers and said, "You are the light of the world." What a powerful truth. He passed the torch to us, to be reflections of his love in a hurting world. Every time you choose compassion over criticism, forgiveness over bitterness, or hope over despair, you shine his light. This world doesn't need more judgment, it needs more love. It doesn't need louder voices, it needs gentler hearts. When you walk in kindness, you become part of God's message to someone else. You become living proof that Jesus still changes lives. Even one small act of light can break through the deepest darkness, and you never know. Your light might be the reason someone else finds their way home. 8. God's message is peace. That the world can't give, everyone's chasing peace, through success, money, relationships, or distractions. But real peace isn't found in things, it's found in someone. Jesus said, "My peace I give to you, not as the world gives." The peace he gives isn't the absence of trouble, it's the presence of trust. It's knowing that no matter what's happening around you, your soul is anchored. You can have storms in your life but still have peace in your heart. You can be surrounded by chaos but still walk in calm. That's what happens when you let God's message sink deep into your heart. You stop living in fear of what could go wrong and start living in faith that God will make. 9. God's message is eternal hope. Everything in this world fades. Beauty, wealth, even life itself. But Jesus came to show us that this world is not the end of the story. When he rose from the dead, he proved that love is stronger than death, and hope is stronger than despair. That's the ultimate message of God through Jesus. That no matter what happens, the best is yet to come. This isn't just about heaven someday. It's about living with hope today, knowing that every act of love, every prayer, every moment of faith is leading to something eternal. You don't have to fear the future when you know who holds it. 10. God's message is for you. Right now. Maybe you've heard about Jesus before. Maybe you've even believed in him, but lately you've felt distant, uncertain, or unworthy. Let this be your reminder. God's message is not just for the saints and the spiritual. It's for you. Right here. Right now. He's not waiting for you to clean up your life before you come to him. He's waiting for you to come as you are. No matter how lost you feel, his arms are still open. His love is still available. His grace is still enough. You are not forgotten. You are not too far gone. You are not beyond his reach. God's message through Jesus is simple, yet life-changing. You are loved. You are forgiven. You are chosen. You are free. When you understand this message, really understand it, it changes everything. You start to see people differently. You start to see yourself differently. You realize that life isn't just about surviving, it's about shining. It's about walking with love, speaking with kindness, and living with purpose. So wherever you are today, take a deep breath and remember, the same God who spoke through Jesus is speaking to your heart right now. He's saying, don't give up. Don't lose hope. I'm not done with you yet. Let that truth sink in. Let it heal you. Let it inspire you. Because God's message through Jesus isn't just a story, it's a lifeline. And it's meant for you.